He really has been paying attention.
봄 가버리면 꽃잎 모두 흩어지고 자기만의 몸 찾아 제각각 돌아가리.
Spring leaves, petals scatter, and all shall turn around to find the doors to which they belong and return forevermore. Ooh. That's so clever. Spring leaves, petals scatter, and all shall turn around to find the doors to which they belong and return forevermore. The double meaning for spring leaves and then tying that into petals scatter. And all shall turn around to find the doors to which they belong and return forevermore. I really like that. I really like that line.
저는 말이죠. 다들 각자마다 모아둔 꽃잎들이 있다고 생각해요.
I think everyone has a small mound of petals they gathered for themselves.
나 없는데? 그런 걸 왜 모아?
What? I don't? Why would anyone collect something like that? It's not literal, you idiot. Then you simply haven't discovered them yet. There was still a transparent smile on his face, but I think I saw a burrowing, sinking shadow behind it. Oh. The moment I felt that, a familiar light came into view, and I immediately understood what was going on. The golden bow is close, and it is resonating with Homling's fathoms. Shichun? They watched the flower burial of mine and mock away. Who leaves me to rest once I die? When spring passes, youth passes, as wrinkles shear it all away. Flowers pass, peoples pass, and ignorant they remain to where they hie. Honglu's mother? Why do you always recite these strange, complicated poems, Daiyu? There are plenty of ways to remain young, aren't there? Daiyu? But we needn't see the snow in our hair to know that spring will pass. Oh, hang on. This one's giving me a lot to chew on. They watch the flower burial of mine and mock away. Who leaves me to rest once I die? When spring passes, youth passes, as wrinkles shear it all away. Flowers pass, people pass, and ignorant they remain to where they hie. I don't know what that word is. Why do you always recite these strange, complicated poems, Daiyu? There are plenty of ways to remain young, aren't there? He's also interpreting this too literally. Because we needn't see the snow in our hair to know that spring will pass. She's there. They're comparing age with seasons. It doesn't need to be winter for you to know that spring has passed. You don't need to grow old to know that you aren't young anymore.
꽃잎들은 왜 네가 손수 치우고 있는 거야?
Why are you cleaning up those fallen petals?
물에 띄어보내면 되잖아. 손에 흙도 다 묻을 텐데.
Just float them away downstream. You'll get dirt on your hands.
아까운 말 하지 마라, 오라버니.
And be so wasteful.
잎들을 다 쓸어버리면 어디 가서 비 오는 소리를 듣게?
How will we hear the sound of falling rain once we sweep all the petals away?
이건 추억이야. 비 오는 날의 추억. 그러니까 버리지 않을 거야.
This is a remembrance of a rainy day, so I'm gonna treasure it.
그리고 흘러내려가 버리게 되면 꽃을 더럽히게 되잖아.
Besides, these beautiful blossoms will get so dirty in the stream if we let them float away.
부엌 오라버니도 부디 품에 있던 잎을 전부 흩어놓지는 마.
So please, don't scatter all the petals from your embrace, big bro Banii. Hong Lu. Is there anyone you miss here in Dongnuan? Dongguanyuan.
네, 없네요.
No, there isn't.
어떻게 그럴 수가 있어요?
But how's that possible? Isn't your family here? Isn't your family there?
여러 소중한
And
사람들을
a bunch of other people who are also important to you.
글쎄요. 잘 지내고 있다 믿고 있는다면
Well, as long as I believe them to be doing well,
구태여 그리운 마음을 가질 연유는 없으니까요.
there isn't any need for me to yearn to see them again. There's... It's soft, but there's a very certain type of melancholia coming from him. They watch the flower burial of mine and mock away, who lays me to rest once I die. When spring passes, youth passes, as wrinkles shear it all away. Flowers pass, people pass, and ignorant they remain to where they high. I don't know what that word is. We needn't see the snow in our hair to know that spring will pass. Where they flee. Flowers pass, people pass, and ignorant they remain to where they flee. As wrinkles shear it all away, flowers pass, people pass, and ignorant they remain to where they leap, where they flee. She's... ooh. Okay. been like a decade since I did Shakespeare, and that's when I remember the word last. So, I did take a poetry class in college. Well, not like specifically. It was specifically on like Japanese waka. But I did have somewhat of an interest when it came to poetry and like layered meanings like this. Hell, part of it's the reason why I like the Dao De Jing so much. They watch the flower burial of mine and mock away. Who lays me to rest once I die? When spring passes, youth passes, as wrinkles shear it all away. Flowers pass, people pass, and ignorant they remain to where they flee. Because I'm trying to like cross-reference this, because they're tying flowers to spring to a person with youth, and when spring passes they're tying that to growing old in age. Because a lot of people end up thinking, God, I can't believe I'm doing this, because a lot of people end up thinking that poetry is just about rhyming for some reason, but it's more... One thing that I really like about poetry is that it uses its space very effectively. The words picked and the relation to one another very deliberately shape the meaning of the poem itself. It's all about like it is like the connection of the symbols and how it's used together and the way that it is using it in comparison to the comparison that it's making, as well as the final point that it is also making. So they watch the flower burial of mine and mock away. That could be taken literally as in your own flower, as in like their own flower, their actual flower burial. But then it ties back to when spring passes, youth passes, as wrinkles shear it away, which also connects back to what is said about, because we needn't see the snow in our hair to know that spring will pass. That is the hint that this is supposed to be about age and about a character growing or a person growing. Flowers pass. When a flower passes, when spring passes, it loses its petals, it turns to fall. When spring passes, youth passes. When a flowers pass, peoples pass. So when spring passes, flowers lose their petals. When youth passes, people get old. As wrinkles shear it all away, and ignorant they remain to where they flee. So it's about aging. And the question of who lays me to rest once I die, who will be there when I am dead, especially if somebody is currently mocking my flower burial. And especially if we're using the knowledge of Honglu being the very special and very catered to child, the kind of understood implication is that Dayu is the underappreciated younger sibling. The one that was kind of left to wilt and wither away. Wish my English class was important before I left school. They really do try to like very much nail into that STEM is like super important, but like I don't know. I always thought that English was a lot more interesting, but I also did incredibly well in English. Hell, I think I nearly got a perfect score in my I nearly got a perfect score in my war in literature class, but then no, I think I did well. I did well in science. I did well in some of my sciences. Math, I did all right in, but I was very much more. The more creative fields, I definitely excelled more in. Why are you cleaning up those fallen petals? Just float them away downstream. You'll get dirt on your hands. Honglu, or at least young Honglu, doesn't understand the value of the fallen petals. Like, what's the point in petals if they can't remain on the flower? What's the point in... essentially, indirectly, what the dialogue that, this is very philosophical. I like this. Why are you cleaning up those fallen petals? Just float them away downstream. You'll get dirt on your hands. Indirectly, what Honglu is saying is that why would you care about the petals once they're off the flower? Why would you care about a person once their youth kind of passes and wrinkles tear away that beauty, that surface level beauty? You'll get dirt on your hands. But Dayu sees that as wasteful. How will we hear the sounds of falling rain once we sweep all the petals away? This is a remembrance of a rainy day, so I'm gonna treasure it. April showers bring May flowers. Spring is often associated with rain, and because of rain, it often does nurture the plants that let them grow. So how will we hear the sound of falling rains once we sweep all the petals away? So even if the petals are removed from the flowers, they still have value. The petals themselves do have value. This is a remembrance of a rainy day, so I'm gonna treasure it. Besides, these beautiful blossoms will get so dirty in the stream if we let them float away. So please, don't scatter all the petals from your embrace, big brother Bayu. In reference to what was kind of used earlier, because Honglu said something. Yeah, because he made it in reference to petals as well. Then you simply haven't discarded them yet. That's tying back to connecting about just memory in general. So then this also recontextualizes what she's saying, or what they're saying. How will we hear the sound of falling rain once we sweep all the petals away? This is a remembrance of a rainy day, so I'm gonna treasure it. Besides, these beautiful blossoms will get so dirty in the stream if we let them float away. So please, don't scatter your petals from your embrace, big brother Bayu. Hold on to those memories. Even if they are painful. Even if beauty fades, remember that fading as well. There is value in the memory of that rainy day. This is dense. So please don't scatter all your petals from your embrace. Honglu, is there anyone you miss here at Dongnuan? Daguanyuan. No, there isn't. As long as I believe them to be doing well, there isn't any need for me to yearn to see them again. He's able to recognize other people holding on to their petals, but he's unable to recognize himself setting his own petals down the stream. I need to go to bed, but thank you for the stream. I love watching people that are really good at media literacy, for lack of a better term. Thank you. No, part of that is what makes doing this fun. Do you still treasure your petals? I am so on the ball.
아니요. 출가하면서 전부 흩뿌리고 왔답니다.
No, I scattered them all the day I departed my home.
그래서 이젠 비 오는 날에는 아무 소리도 들리지 않아요.
So my rainy days are now silent. I see.
보신 거죠? 단테님,
You saw that, didn't you, Dante?
제 기억을.
You saw my memory. I did. Honglu laughed. He wasn't surprised or angry that I peered into his memories. I was so on the money.